Hey, what's up guys? Faramar here, back at you with another video. Alright, so now I'm going to be releasing a chain of videos, and this is going to be for beta content only. Okay, so anybody that's interested in feral beta, these videos are for you. Okay, in this video I'm specifically going to be going over talent choices, and synergies between the talents with the legendaries. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump into it. Alright, there's been a few major changes to the feral talents. One is Sabretooth has been nerfed from a 4-second per combo point refresh to a 1-second per combo point refresh. What does this mean for Feral Druid? This means that if you take Sabretooth now, if your rips are no longer going to last indefinitely throughout a fight. You're actually going to have to refresh your rips and think about it, right? So I think this is a healthy change because I personally like the Sabretooth talent for beginner ferals, right? I just think that I think the change to it makes it more engaged, and it makes it more of an option for experienced ferals as well. So one, it's helpful to feral druids that are having trouble maintaining their dots. Two, I think it remains a powerful talent and definitely a choice. That being said, it makes Lunar Inspiration way more competitive of a choice. And what is Lunar Inspiration? It allows you to use Moonfire in cat form, and also generates a combo point for you. Right now in beta, Moonfire is actually essentially a second Rake. It does almost as much damage as Rake, a little bit less. So very competitive. I think that, I think Lunar Inspiration is just going to be a really strong talent overall. I think Sabretooth will also be a really strong talent overall. And looking at these next row of talents, Soul of the Forest, Savage Roar, and Incarn. Soul of the Forest right now is basically always the talent that you take in this row. Incarn doesn't really do enough damage to warrant a 3-minute cooldown on it, and Savage Roar just doesn't flat out give you enough damage or energy regen to compete with Soul of the Forest, right? Now, Savage Roar got a 5% damage increase, so it's much more competitive. Incarn didn't get a direct increase, but Shred got an increase to its stealth bonus. So now, so currently, Shred does 30% bonus damage if you're in stealth, aka in Incarn. Now it does 100% bonus damage. Shred got a 70% damage increase, right, in stealth, which means during Incarn, your Shred's going to be pumping damage. Like, it's going to be doing so much damage, it's insane. So I feel like Incarn and Savage Roar are both going to be usable options. Personally, from my testing so far, I haven't done raid testing yet. I will do raid testing soon. It feels good. Savage Roar feels like a worthy talent now. So I like taking it. Also, with the very limited amount of haste that you currently have, and the very limited amount of energy regen that ferals currently have, I feel like it actually outperforms Soul of the Forest pretty significantly. Soul of the Forest feels good in BFA because we've got, so many ways of getting energy back. Like Lucid Dreams, right? Lucid Dreams just flat out refunds 50% of your energy costs on some of your abilities, which is huge. So I really think that Savage Roar is going to be a very competitive talent. All right. This next row didn't really get changed much. Something to note is in Shadowlands, they are Blizzard is planning on putting an AoE cap on everybody's AoE abilities. One of the only abilities I think I've seen that doesn't have an AoE cap, a limited number of targets that it can hit, is Primal Wrath. Primal Wrath currently hits everything in an AoE, just like it does in BFA, which makes ferals a very strong competitor in AoE situations. Alright, this last talent row, Moment of Clarity, didn't really get changed much. Blood Talons got a huge change. So now you have to use Shred, Rake, and Thrash within 5 seconds, and it will give you 2 charges of Blood Talons. And those 2 charges of Blood Talons only work on your Rips and your Ferocious Bites now. But the damage is increased by 5%. So you're no longer Blood Talonsing your Rakes, you're going to just be Blood Talonsing your Rips and your Ferocious Bites. And the way that you get Blood Talons is a little bit more complicated and a little bit more engaged and a little bit more involving. So I really enjoy the new Blood Talons changes personally. I've been playing around with it. It was really difficult to get used to at first. But once I got the hang of it, I actually feel like it's really good. And I'll release a how-to video on the new Blood Talons rotation, and basically how I've in my head simplified it and made it work for me in a really positive way. Feral Frenzy got a pretty big buff. It got 2.5% increase on each of the damage, each of the swipe ticks, right? Which is 5 times. So it's essentially a 12.5% damage increase. I'm probably doing that math wrong, but Feral Frenzy got a big change. It's doing more damage. That's all I can say. In single target situations, it actually feels really competitive of talent as well, which is nice because right now the only time you take Feral Frenzy is in PvP. So, all right. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at legendaries now. All right. First one we're going to look at is the empowered single target dot damage. Currently on beta, Moonfire, if you're taking Lunar Inspiration as a cat, does not get affected by this 30% damage increase, which makes it feel kind of weak. But I put in a bug report for it, so I'm hoping that Blizzard actually acknowledges that and makes it to where it'll buff the cat form Moonfire damage. But Rake and Rips damage does get increased, and it does a lot of damage. Like, it makes your Rakes and your Rips do a lot of damage. And then Moonfire will also be doing a ton of damage as well, I think, once they fix that. So this chess piece obviously falls hand in hand if you're going to be running a Lunar Inspiration talent build in single target situations. I think this can be a very good legendary. Yeah, overall feels like a good legendary. I'm pretty psyched about this one. All right, next one. So everybody, when they saw this legendary, they're like, "Oh my God, Jagged Wounds is back." Well, the difference between this legendary and Jagged Wounds, if you remember, Jagged Wounds actually reduced the duration of your dots by 33%, but maintained the damage of the dot. So your dot was doing the same amount of damage in 33% less time. This one doesn't quite do this. This one essentially gives you like bonus haste, right? So this one essentially does what haste does for your dots. So now Rake, it doesn't go from a 15-second duration to a 10-second duration. It stays at 15 seconds, but it'll tick additionally, right? So if you've got a lot of haste, this one will scale very well. Right now, with the limited amount of haste I have, 8%, my Rake does 9 ticks with this instead of 8 in the 15-second window, which is pretty huge. Like, it's a whole additional damage, right? It's nice. So once you get more haste, this legendary thing will scale tremendously because haste does the same thing, but this gives you a flat 25% of it. This legendary is absolutely my favorite one. You know what? I'm gonna save this one for last. We're gonna go over that one last because that is my absolute favorite legendary right now. We'll touch on it in a second. This legendary here increases, or sorry, it doesn't increase. It gives your rip picks a chance to proc a free ferocious bite at maximum damage, so it's getting that 25 energy pooling damage, right, as well. This one synergizes extremely well with Sabretooth. So if you really like Sabretooth as a talent, you want to run Sabretooth in your rotation, right? This legendary is probably going to be for you because this one can just proc and proc and proc. There's not really an internal cooldown, but I've also seen it dry as well. So I've gone, a whole minute without a single proc, but I've gone like 30 seconds and seen like 4 procs in a row. Like it's pretty insane. Which indefinitely will refresh your rips, right? So it makes Sabretooth much stronger. So it's kind of a feast or famine kind of legendary. It has very high highs and has very low lows. So if that sounds like it's something for you, feel free. If you like Sabretooth, if you're running this legendary, you pretty much always want to run Sabretooth, by the way. The synergy is just too good between those two. This legendary here. So this one, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, that's kind of a weak legendary. Like, it doesn't seem very good. Like, this was the one I was least excited about, but I actually really like this one now. And why do I like it? Because I like running Savage Roar, right? And now that Savage Roar got a damage increase, I think that the Savage Roar rotation actually is much more empowered by this legendary. So essentially, what do? The very first thing that you do in your rotation is you Berserk, then you Tiger's Fury, right? Which causes your next finishing move to restore 3 combo points. What's the very next thing you do? You Rake, and then you Savage Roar at 1 or 2 combo points, okay? So what does that do? It puts Savage Roar up for 12 or 18 seconds, right? For your whole opener, essentially. And then you immediately get 3 combo points. So you have like no downtime for putting your Savage Roar up in your opener. It's huge. And then later on down the fight, right? It really empowers your Savage Roar, and it keeps your maintenance of your Savage Roar much easier. So I think if you're going to run this one, you essentially want to make sure you're running the Savage Roar talent. The synergy there, really, really good. One thing I want to note is all these legendaries, the synergies that they have with our talent choices make the feral dynamic much, much more open-ended, and I love it. Like, the options that feral has right now feels so good. I'm really hoping Blizzard doesn't drop us on our head and like we're doing like the worst damage in the world, because right now the class feels really, really good, and there's a lot of choices and options. All right, the next legendary. This legendary, I think, is kind of going to fall off in the later half of the expansion, but in the early half of the expansion, this could easily be one of the most powerful. And the reason I say that is because right now, with the limited amount of haste that we have very low energy regen. If you play beta, you will actually see, like, your energy, it's so slow. It ticks like vanilla, dude. It's so slow. Like, energy regen is, it's slow. It's really bad. You're gonna have to. There's a lot more energy management for ferals right now. There's a lot more, things and techniques that you're gonna have to do to, get the most out of your damage, get the most out of your energy. Sorry. Um. So this legendary kind of is a catalyst to that. It just kind of empowers and kind of removes that. It also has very insane synergy with Moment of Clarity. So essentially, whenever you get an Omen of Clarity, what will happen is when you use that, you will actually get energy refunded, right, from this legendary. And then with both of these selected, you have 190 energy starting off. So it's insane. So I think if you're gonna run this legendary, right, run Moment of Clarity, and you'll be absolutely fine on energy. Like, it's almost impossible to run out of energy. Like, um, I don't know if that's going to be the best build, but it definitely could be one of the easier ones, and it definitely could be a catalyst to feral early on in order to use the energy regen that we need. You can also run it without Moment of Clarity, but obviously that synergy is very strong. All right, my favorite legendary in the bunch so far that's been announced for Feral Druid is this one. And the reason why is not because it does a lot of damage. It's not because it gives us like some insane like okay. Anyways, my favorite thing about this is because it embraces the reason why I play Feral Druid. And the reason I play Feral Druid is because it's a hybrid melee class, right? I want to use my other specs. I want to use my other affinities effectively, okay? And essentially what it does is it empowers these other affinities. So the first effect on it is it doubles your effectiveness of your passive on your affinity. Resto Affinity heals for 3% every 5 seconds. Now, with that legendary on, it'll heal for 6% every 5 seconds. Guardian Affinity reduces all damage taken by 6%. With this legendary, it'll reduce all damage taken by 12%. Balance Affinity, it increases the range of all your attacks by 3 yards. With this legendary, it'll increase the range of all your attacks by 6 yards. It's huge. It's amazing. I love it. The second part of it is it procs Heart of the Wild when you shift into your affinity's form, okay? So, Heart of the Wild, right, for Resto Affinity, increases Resto healing by 30% and reduces mana cost by 50%. Guardian Affinity, it increases your stamina by an additional 20%, and it allows your Iron Fur to stack, which is your armor buildup, by the way. And then it also gives Frenzied Regen 2 charges, which that part I think is just going to be amazing for PvP specifically. And then Balance Affinity, it increases the damage of your balance abilities by 30% and makes your Star Surge an instant cast. It's huge. Like, oh, I'm just so excited about this legendary. I'm going to be testing it a lot. I've got to play a few arena matches with it, and it feels so much fun just going into bear form, being like completely unkillable and double casting Frenzied Regen back to back. Like, oh, it just feels fun. So I love this legendary. It's my favorite. It's the one that is the most exciting to me. But if I had to put a guess out there, I would say the one that is going to be best at start is going to be this one here, the increased dot damage by 30% on single target. And in an AoE situation, I think it's going to be the clear casting ability one, just because you'll want to run Moment of Clarity usually in an AoE situation. Yeah. Anyways, this is my first beta video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are as excited as I am to get more and more into the testing. If you do want to watch me test live, I'm trying to do 1 or 2 hours of beta testing because I don't want to get burned out, but I want to do 1 or 2 hours of beta testing to kind of get everybody, dabble our feet, just dip our toes a little bit. If you want to watch that, follow me on twitch.tv/Faramar. Otherwise, stay tuned for more YouTube videos, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one, guys.